and welcome to Season 3 of The Desk of a Navy Wife, where you may or may not hear my kiddos in the background. My name is Raina Worthy, and on this podcast, we like to talk about challenges, triumphs, and experiences with being a military spouse. So kick back, relax, make a cup of coffee, or get that evening dinner ready, and watch or listen to me in the background. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a licensed mental health therapist, and the majority of my guests are not licensed professionals. If a guest is licensed, it will be clearly indicated and noted in the episode description. The content shared on this channel and in each episode is for educational and connection purposes only. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, or replace professional mental health services. Please consult a qualified professional for any personal mental health concerns. Neither I nor my guests are to be held responsible for any decisions made based on this content. Now, let's unpack.
Alrighty. Well, hello everyone. I am joined today by Kellie Artis, the founder of quite a few projects, and she'll be able to share that with you in a moment here. Kellie, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. It's dedicated to giving insights and sharing our stories as military spouses within our community. So I'm excited to have you on the first episode of season 3, and this is what's going on to YouTube. So a lot of our listeners will become our viewers on this podcast. This season is dedicated around mental health. So a lot of the questions going to be coming to you around that journey, both for you and within your organization that you'll be able to share with us. So please go ahead, introduce yourself to our viewers, please, and our listeners.
Thanks so much, Raina. I really appreciate you inviting me on. And congratulations on 2 podcast seasons. That's pretty incredible. Getting over the hump there. You're going forward. Yes. I just love it. And getting on video, which I adore. Thank you all. My name is Kellie. Probably the most pertinent thing that you should know about me right now is that I have been a military spouse for almost over 20 years. I say that. We've been together for like 25 years. Got married in there somewhere. So like I count those 20 years as mine as well. We're an Army family. We spent most of our time in North Carolina. So I am currently based at Fort Bragg and have decided to make Fort Bragg our home for the foreseeable future as we transition out of the military. Yeah. So we're in that season. Yeah. So I've kind of been through it all. I'm sure the conversation will take us in and out of different experiences and stories, but through it, I landed upon a really helpful personal discovery tool that helped me sort of understand a bit more about like who I was, grab onto some purpose and identity and meaning in this crazy lifestyle. And that is what I hope to be talking a lot about today when it comes to particularly mental health and just dealing with all of the uncertainties that come our way in this lifestyle. So that project is called Mission Identity. And it is it's an Enneagram. It's a training mechanism, frankly. We do a lot of workshops, but I can also help uncover folks' type within that system. So it's like a personality system, helping you kind of identify what type you are, how you're perceiving the world, what might be getting in your way, and then how to move forward and develop yourself personally through that as well.
I love it. I believe I have taken a part of it in AMSE, I want to say, is when it might have been mentioned. And I looked it up, and that's how I found you. So I would love to know for you to share, what inspired the creation of Mission Identity, and what does the name itself represent?
Good question. Well, I mean, I will tell you what inspired it was just my type 5-ness. So once you, without getting into the whole framework and architecture of the type system, there are 9 numbers that represent the 9 sort of archetypes of personalities. And mine happens to be a 5. But in that lies a lot of like kind of obsessive research, understanding, like a yearning to understand and be competent in something and feel competent. And what happened was we went through a season of military life where I didn't feel like I knew anything. I had already kind of experienced, 10-ish years. I mean, we were probably at about our halfway point. I had very little kids. I was trying to do the work thing. I had figured out working remotely. So I thought I was crushing it. But then a move kind of just swept everything out from underneath me and was kind of at a low point. And tried to just grasp at just about anything. And the traditional tools weren't really filling that void for me. And I heard some folks talk on a podcast about this thing called the Enneagram. And I was like, I don't know type 5. I don't know what that is. I should look into it. Sounds interesting. And then I just fell in like fully. I was like, not only does this see me fully, give me understanding, clarity. I mean, I worked with it personally for several years just as my own sort of nerd resource. I took classes because I just enjoyed being around people that were also committed to personal work and, self-discovery, and then started to think through what it might look like to bring this resource and tool to my community, to other military spouses. So that resulted in creating what is now Mission Identity. And then, I mean, that's the name, right? The name just kind of anchors on mission, obviously alludes to like the military sort of mindset. There needs to be a purpose and orientation, right? This is why we're doing what we're doing. And this is where we want to arrive at the end of this work. And how do we complete that work, that sort of thing. And it's all around understanding who we are. Seeing ourselves, feeling like we're seen by others, feeling like we have agency in this life, which, spoiler, we do. We just lose sight of that sometimes, right? There are things that we have control over, namely our perception of what we're experiencing, but losing sight of that doesn't help. So just feeling more anchored in kind of who you are, how the lifestyle, though challenging, could be amplifying some of your personality traits and your coping mechanisms versus like hindering them. So just getting a clearer picture of what is actually happening in reality.
I love that you created this. And I feel like us as military spouses, it's often probably losing a sense of ourself we may feel throughout this journey or feel at a low point. And a lot of it goes into that mental health, which is a very tough subject. And not everyone is open to talking about it in the military community. So how do you approach this with compassion and effectiveness?
Well, compassion, that is a big word. And that's actually one of the tenets. So the school that I studied with during my like certification process, I needed to know that I was qualified to teach this to someone else because it is deep and very personal work. Even in some of the training sessions that I attended, there would be a prompt that just cut so quickly to the core of who I was or things that I had protected and guarded for so long that sharing them out loud felt really vulnerable. And if that's not handled well, that could be harmful, right? And I'm also, caveat, not a therapist. So I'm not trained to provide therapy or, anything like that. So this is all just guided discovery using a very specific map, if you will. So how I approach it and how I was kind of taught to approach it, first of all, there's kind of just as people, we need to be compassionate and curious at the same time with ourselves. So we can be non-judgmental with others and about others. That feels easier, but often when we turn that inward, it gets harder to do. So just constantly reminding people. And built into some of the, like if you and I were to do a typing session, built into that session, you would hear me kind of continuously saying, okay, why? Tell me more about that. And I can sort of observe in my participant what's going on. We often have this tendency to like speed through hard things. Like we will start to share something difficult and it gets emotional and we don't want to be emotional. So we'll cover that up and we'll crack a joke because we don't want to make somebody else uncomfortable. So part of the training that I went through was understanding, anticipating those kinds of moments, making sure that you feel comfortable. I'm not going to run away because you're upset. Like I'm here. I'll ride that wave right along with you. And also, if you don't feel like you can share in that moment, I'm okay for you to just be like, pass. I set those boundaries and those rules right up front so that the container that you're in is not only safe, but it's compassionate. It's allowing of whatever comes up. Let's sit with it because that's your practice too. You are learning how to allow certain feelings and certain emotions to kind of wash over. And then the more you can let go of them and sort of follow that thread through, you can start to make sense of it and let it go. So the making sense part is me telling you, okay, this could be your type structure showing up in XYZ way. The reason you might be experiencing what you think you're experiencing right now, could that be about this thing? And then all of a sudden something just kind of releases and you're like, oh, I didn't realize I was holding on to that so tightly, right? Or was protecting that.
Embracing the feelings that go through the layers of like, let's unpack this. Let's unpack
100%.
it.
Or not. You could also be like, I don't think I want to go there. And we could say, okay, great. And I'll move on to the next thing, right? You asked about, how do you approach it? Another answer also pertains to the way in which I approach the community with this problem. Okay. I'm talking about loneliness. I'm talking about a lack of feeling a sense of purpose. lack of feeling, like understanding who you are, your identity. By the way, these are all things that bubble up time and time and time again on military family surveys. We know these things to be true. Military spouses particularly suffer from these types of feelings that
Yes.
lead them to feel like they are unsatisfied with the military way of life, with the lifestyle. Okay. That number, there's a satisfaction number that the DoD, this isn't like we have amazing, nonprofit organizations that do surveys that inform a lot of really amazing projects, but you've also got the DoD who is literally tracking military spouse satisfaction with the lifestyle. They do it every year, might be 2 years. That number has been decreasing for at least the last 5, 6, maybe 10 years. That number is going down. People are not satisfied. They're not fulfilled. Why does that matter? It's just the spouse. Well, it matters because if the spouse is unhappy with the lifestyle, they are 8 times more likely to influence their service member to get out.
Yeah.
So I do these trainings on military bases to military spouse groups. So I've been able to, reach some of the groups here, come in, do like full day workshops to be able to help guide everyone through this tool that you can tie to readiness and retention. I mean, if I'm talking to like the higher ups, usually that's the thing they want to hear is that this will benefit you and your people because, we're
going to keep retain them.
Yeah. But the way that I actually prefer to approach it with my people, my military spouses that I'm working with, is not that it's tied to readiness, because I want you, Raina, to have a tool that has nothing to do with your spouse.
Right.
It's just you. It's just you. Like, we're not going to worry about getting you a job because, that's childcare friendly because your spouse is deployed and you need what? Okay, those are all good things and they need to happen. But if you don't have your like basic sort of understanding of who you are, none of that's going to help you feel better about the way things are happening. So we need to get farther down. So I approach it in that way. Like it's almost like the air that you breathe. Being able to see yourself and understand yourself and be less reactive to your world, because we are always reacting to something, but to be less reactive and more like understanding of what's happening to you in reality, not just the messages your brain is telling you or that your heart's kind of running away with. Because when we're stressed, and by the way, we live in like chronic stress, not only
all
just
the time
as Americans, but also as military. There's just so many layers. There's so many things that we struggle with. All of that to say, I'm a fanatic. I get that. But this tool is one of the most profoundly helpful things that I have ever come across when it comes to any sort of investment in myself that I've ever made. So
with you doing your session, so you're doing it on the installation, do you do it in a group setting and then you can do like a one-on-one if they request it, or how does that flow for a military spouse attending?
It's super flexible. I love a group. So it's called the Narrative Enneagram. I love the idea that everyone has a story in them and your story is so important and so cool and let's hear it, right? So instead of me teaching you for 4 hours and you taking notes or taking a test at home, we do panel interviews. So I'll have a group of people. We will all kind of either already know our type. Maybe we've done typing sessions before the group session. That's ideal, is that you and I spend an hour together and we get you closer to you understanding what your type is. And then you come to the session and then you teach the group what it's like to be you.
Okay.
Right? So it's all experiential. So I've got a panel of type 3s and I will ask them questions and I will sort of moderate the panel, but they're able to put themselves on that archetype in a way that helps the audience remember what a type 3 is. It helps them build compassion for the type 3s in their life, because often with these types of systems, there's a temptation to use it to sort of label other people.
Yeah.
Particularly like you start with your spouse and your kids, and then you maybe branch out to some girlfriends. You're like, oh, I bet she's a 1,
Yeah, right.
Okay. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. That's against the rules. That's off limits. Use it for yourself. Work it for yourself first, right? That's the first rule. Don't type other people. That's the second rule. Like, it robs them of their journey. What if they just believe you? They believe that you told them you're a type 1, and then they think they're a type 1, and then they bypass all of the beautiful work that's to be done along the way of discovering that they're a type 1. Even I don't tell people their types, believe it or not. We do typing sessions. I get you really close to like 1 or 2. And then you decide, you tell me that one really resonates. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even going to diagnose because that's not my work. It's yours. I'm just guiding you. So we do it as a combination. It's really fun, really interactive. There's always just fun stories that come up. One of the coolest things is in a larger group, you'll especially like when I've ever been on a panel with other type 5s, I'm like, oh my God, I have found my people. I thought I was literally the only person on the planet that reacted to, XYZ in that way. And you guys all do it too. Oh my God.
So now you're like with your whole community.
You got your people. Yeah. It's really cool. So if everybody's in it and invested and like excited about it, it can be a really, really fun experience.
So for you, how do you help military spouses with like rediscovering themselves in this whole entire session with them unpacking and taking this, it's Enneagram, right? Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah.
So with them taking it, how do you help them to rediscover and redefine really what they're going through and themselves on top of balancing service life?
Yeah. So it's kind of like a 3-part sort of formula, I guess is one way to think about this. So I did a lot of research on this while I was kind of creating the project. First dove into, and this was actually a capstone project of mine for a leadership cohort that I was in, which was awesome because it really forced me to read a bunch of surveys, read a bunch of data that's come out about military family experiences, read books and, sociological sort of studies. It was infuriating. I threw a book across the room once because I was so frustrated at we have been studying the military spouse experience for 30 years. And nothing is changing. Nothing is getting easier. Is there even any hope? You go through this cycle of despondency and what's the point? Why even is the military exist? Just
it's this whole. It's like I'm tired of talking about it. Can we start taking action and fixing this?
So then you're back to okay. Well, what can we do? Right? Geographic stability would be great. Can we do that? I don't know. I don't know. Op tempo slowing down will be great. But can we do that? Maybe not. I don't know. There's just so many things that you're kind of either in or out. There's definitely a point at which you're on board or you're not. And I get that. And I respect that. But there are also things that can make it better along the way for those of us who aren't ready to just be all in and not lose ourselves along the way. Let's put it that way. So what I have found to be true, there are a couple of components to identity and self-awareness and the whole sort of composite picture of what it means to know yourself, understand yourself, and have contentment in your life, right? So the first is self-awareness. So just having the time and the ability to do some self-awareness and understand who you are beneath the stress, beneath the fear or the anxiety. Who are you who were you when you were 18 years old? Who was the most pure version of you that was you before you started putting all these masks and layers on? Who is that person down there? So self-awareness is key. And then you've got self-awareness and you can pair that with purpose. You can't really have your purpose unless you have the awareness or the sense of identity, sense of self. You have that first in order to have a purpose. Because if you don't know who you are, you can't possibly align any sort of goal or purpose without it being compatible with who you are. So, these are two aspects of the human experience that don't come easily. People that have the luxury of not moving every 2 years or not having to find new schools and having to constantly replace incomes or, all of the things that we constantly find ourselves in these cycles of doing. It takes up all your headspace, right? It's all of it. Some people can just, journal all day and sit around and have the luxury again of there's no stress in their lives. It's fine. We don't often have that. And then you layer on top other things where you come from, your family dynamic, where your home, family of origin, those sorts of things, your experiences, maybe some traumas. There's all kinds of other things that make that really hard for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. Those two things are crucial though. And if we don't have those two things together, the self-identity, the sense of self, strong sense of self, and the sense of purpose, there's absolutely zero satisfaction to be found. And what's the biggest thing you can anchor that satisfaction to? It's your lifestyle. Nothing around me is working. And so then the easiest thing to sort of flag as being the problem is the military. Right. If only we didn't move every 2 years. If only I hadn't just lost my community because I had a great one at the last duty station and now we don't. Right. So that's the way that I approach convincing people that not only is this type of work critical, but can be a boon to our service, to our family service, to our retention numbers, right? Imagine if more of us had, and I'm not here to tell you that I've got it figured out either personally. Like it's a daily work.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
work in
Constantly
progress.
working on it.
But could you imagine if that's just one less thing to
Right.
have to really struggle with, understanding the importance of feeding yourself first before you could possibly feed the mission or serve the
Yeah.
mission? So anyway, that's how I feel like it's best used. Never mind that, you've got people now walking around like knowing who they are, feeling seen, feeling appreciated, feeling valued, even if it's just themselves and seeing and valuing themselves. You've got people that are able to align their gifts with the purpose in a really effective, impactful way. You've got people who are capable of now like pulling others up, spotting when other people are struggling more quickly because they're not so caught up in their own struggle. It just, I mean, the benefits are just, I think, profound.
I agree. And what, if there are any additional programs or resources, does Mission Identity offer to military spouses or just in general if other people wanted to get involved with the program?
Yeah, well, either online trainings. I've
Okay.
done a couple of corporate, like so organizations who want to do professional development or team building type engagements. I've got some videos online. I think the coolest way to get involved, the easiest way to at least, I mean, to work with me would be a typing session. If you're interested in like one-on-one coaching, we can definitely talk. It's probably going to be early next year before I'm open for that again.
Yeah.
A couple of things going on. But if you're local to the Fayetteville area, Fayetteville, North Carolina, I'm going to be hosting on or in-person workshops again, starting like early next year. So just plug into all of the things. And then if you have an FRG group, or I'm not sure if everybody still has FRGs.
Yes, the family readiness
groups.
group. Yes, not every installation
Okay.
has one, but I do know what you're referring to, the family readiness group.
Yeah, I think it's branch specific. But yeah, I would love, I mean, if you guys wanted to have something, it's a little team building, but it's
Yeah.
definitely feed yourself. Like let's dive into who you are. So
I love that. And I want to put in here, if you are a military spouse and you don't have these programs like FRG at your installation, that doesn't mean you can't kick it off as part of your community and reach out and try to get other military spouses to join on something virtual. So sometimes you have to be your advocate or be your own sense of community and gathering everybody together. So I do want to put that in there because I do think some people feel like if it doesn't exist, then there's nothing we can do about it. And that's not the case. That's not the case.
No, definitely. Listen, y'all, I'm happy to do like little, if it's you have a coffee or a book club that meets once a month and you guys just want to nerd out about the Enneagram, chances are 6 of the 10 people you are the closest to have already heard of it and have probably been talking about it and like,
wanting to do it.
So I'm happy to come nerd out and answer questions, particularly about the system, how to use the system. People are always curious, like, how do you get your husband to take it? That sort of thing. How do you use it with parenting? Like, how does it show up in a relationship? I mean, any kind of subject. I would be so happy to show up and just be a total geek.
So now I have a question, and it's more around any success stories. Do you mind sharing any transformations that you may have witnessed or your own transformation that you have gone through with our viewers?
I mean, I will, because I don't work with people like long term.
Yeah.
I see like sparks of transformation and I have full trust and faith that those just bloom and blossom after we've, parted ways. But some of the most profound moments that I will just share, particularly I did so many typing sessions during my training and I met with a lot of military spouses. Like that was most of my demographic. I was always struck at how, first of all, their stories resonated so deeply with me. So easily. Like it was just they were all telling a different version of my story. It was really easy to get like just wrapped all the way up with them. And I'm like, no wonder we connect so quickly. Always. No, you just know there's just something
there. You're like, I knew, I've been there.
No, you don't even just say the words. You just know. There's like a spiritual connection that just happens instantly. It's wild. So that's always been great. But like seeing that there's always a moment during a typing interview, there's a way to get at like and ask a question that will stop you in your tracks, frankly. Just it's like holding up a mirror that you've never had in front of you before. Like you've just never seen that version of your reflection and you're like, oh my God, there I am. There's always that moment. There's always that moment and I just live for it. It is because then we get to work. Like and we start cracking. That's where we dig. And it's just so special because it is so And I've experienced it myself in different trainings or on different panel interviews where I've been just overcome with, I didn't know that was there. I didn't know I was guarding that. I didn't know that was tender. I've never said that out loud before. And then it's just like, and how if handled well, those moments can just be like life-changing. They always happen. Sometimes they're small. There's always, I warn people, like, don't plan something after the session that you need to be like camera good for.
And you might be emotional.
Even my like toughest girlies, they're like, no, I'm fine. I don't cry. And sure enough, by the end, they're like, damn it, Kellie.
Wiping tears away.
I didn't tell you, I'm sorry. Like,
I warned you before you took it.
I know. It's so cool. It's just so cool. So anyway, I just encourage, however you do it, I would say like there are tons of like free resources out there. And like, please, if that's what's available to you, like any work is better than no work. I would just say like the online quizzes and online tests are fine. I would just encourage everyone watching, like, use those as data points, right? It's probably not going to fully capture all of it. So it'll give you kind of a direction to head in, but keep exploring until you feel that spark. I'm not kidding when I tell you. And you may not. Like, it may take a long time. It's a journey and you have to be ready for it. Because the whole purpose of personality and ego structures is to guard and protect us. And we have done that our entire lives, and we've gotten really dang good at it. So it may take some time to break through that, and it may take a third party, like an extra person who's neutral and compassionate to help get you there and push you in ways that you won't push yourself. So all that to say, like, don't get discouraged if like right off the bat you're not like immediately resonating with a certain type, or you feel like the system sucks because you can't find none of these make sense for you. It takes work. It's deep work, but it's worth it. So
yes, it's going to take some time to reflect. You may cry, you may get emotional from it. That's like that breakthrough moment. I feel like once you get a good cry out, then it's like, all right,
there's something there. Yeah,
exactly. So in what ways, and now I'm going to go back to the mental health aspect of it in the military community. In what way do you feel like the military community can better support mental health and identity work with both military spouses and service members?
I think I only want to touch the military.
Let's talk about it then.
I think there's a lot of great work happening. I'm just not aware of all the things that are out there. So I'll just say, from my perspective, how could the military do better? This is an interesting moment that we are experiencing right now. I don't know if now is the moment where there will be progress in that field, in that space. So just, I don't think that I see it. I think the MSOs, the military serving organizations, the nonprofits will continue to do the amazing work that they do. And I would encourage all of you to pay attention to those resources. I hope and I assume that on like unit levels, there are still people who are passionately pursuing activities and ways to build community, right? That's important. It's so important. I think we've lost a little bit of that over the years, right? Just the unit cohesion and that sort of thing. So again, not to say that it's not happening. I know there are people out there doing literally the Lord's work when it comes to like helping make sure that our families are thriving. I didn't expect big sweeping initiatives from on high. Let's just put it that way. So my offering to your listeners and to you is to seek out the opportunities whenever they come. If you see something that and I'm just going to assume that so many of the problems are anchored around the fact that we don't have community and we don't have a sense of belonging. I want to just stress the importance of you going out and finding it yourself. Don't sit around and wait for it to happen to you, right? You have to take some initiative and you have to pursue the opportunities as presented. And maybe they suck. I don't know. Maybe they just do. Or maybe it's not your thing, but try it. You've got to try it. You've got to get out there. The programs will cease to exist if people aren't participating in them. So I'll just say that too, whether you think you need it or don't need it. There's so many things I show up to that I don't frankly need, but I want to support and show that there's value in it and show that I appreciate that it is available to folks who may be not on the same level or, years of experience or whatever as me. So I think find your people. That's crucial. If you have the time to invest in yourself and the space, and the bandwidth to do that, then there are plenty of ways that you can plug in either through military community resources or through your local community. Like, don't forget the cities and towns that you live in, you guys. There are plenty of ways to plug in and find community if maybe the local, maybe the unit isn't really going to work for you for whatever reason. Don't negate that there's something out there for everyone, and you got to make the time and the space for yourself to do so.
Yes, and I will for sure share some in the description and links below of organizations that I know. Like you said, sometimes it's a nonprofit, sometimes it's within your local community or just a community page that they're not aware of. So I agree with you on you have to get uncomfortable and put yourself out there, especially if you feel like you're not seeing that sense of community. Everyone tends to keep to themselves, and I don't know if COVID just kind of added to that even more.
Thanks. Yeah,
we're not supposed to talk to anyone, but even just a friendly wave out to your neighbor, right? Or going to introduce yourself. That's where it starts. Because some of us live on installation. And if we don't know our neighbor or the person across the street, and then we're always screaming, oh, there's no community. So
it's so important.
Yes, it is. And I'm gonna dig into it with the community. What part do you feel the community plays in healing the growth of military families?
There's an adage, and I don't know who to attribute it to. Somebody in the Enneagram teacher space said once that particularly this type of work, this inner personal, deep work, spiritual work, is work that you do alone, but it's best done in community. You do your own work. You don't worry about anybody else's business, right? You are working on yourself. You're not using these tools to, help anybody else. But if you're all doing it together, you're all striving together towards a similar goal, you can compare notes. You can share things that are hard. You can be held when you need to be held. You can hold others when they need to be held, right? It's support. It's so, so, so important. So whether it's this type of work or any other thing that you are focused and passionate about and doing for sake of the community, I think just don't negate the fact that other people may be on your same path. Maybe you're farther along in the path and you could mentor or help guide someone along, or you could push from behind gently, kindly. Or there's someone ahead of you that you can ask for help. Or maybe they'll see you and drag you along to pull you along to track for a long time. And again, I'm type 5. You guys, if you know 5s are familiar at all with some of the stereotypes, we tend to be like the introverts, the loners, sitting on the outskirts, want to just observe.
Yeah.
So that's been my own personal work is to, I'm preaching to myself here, you guys, get out there, go connect with people. The struggle is good for growth. Like that's how you grow. That's how you heal. Is often through pain. It strengthens, right? And if you're not uncomfortable ever, you're never testing where your limits are or where your capacity to grow or expand might be. Limitations are a huge focus, and at least in the Enneagram world, because your type structure, that ego framework does limit you. So it's not about like staying in the box that you've now figured out that you're in. It's about seeing through it and seeing ways out of it. You don't have to always act that way. Like that's not just who you are. It doesn't have to be. That's a limitation that your type structure has put on you. So being able to see through that helps not only heal, but it makes you the best version of yourself that you can be.
And that's the goal. And for many of us, our seasoned military spouses, and this is for our viewers here, please be open to creating a sense of community and reaching out to the newer military spouses. They're new to this world. They don't know what to come, or what could. And it's like, sometimes they need that reassurance that, yes, you're going to have hard days and hard times, and this is how you can get through it. Or they need those suggestions. Because for those of us that have been married 11 plus, 20 plus years, you said 20, how many years?
We've been married for 19. But we've been together for 25.
So they need to see that, and they need to hear that, and they need to know that when they get there, that light that's at the end of this tunnel, this long tunnel.
I can see it.
It is there. It may be this big, but it is there.
Yeah.
So, now, my final question for you. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just going to add. So there's this great practice that I picked up in one of my trainings. And it was, you said something about it being hard, or when the days are hard, or when you experience something hard. That's where I think I had my break, or one of my lowest points was that it became hard. There were just too many things that happened too quickly, like a move, and I lost my job, and my kids were little and they didn't have friends, and I had to register for school, just a lot of things. And it was hard. but I had done hard so many other times and done like really hard, like bad deployments, like going to funerals. I mean, like all of the things during all of the troop surges we were a part of, and I hit this moment where I was like complaining about losing my job and I was devastated. And I'm like, this is hard, but I can do hard. Why all of a sudden can I not do this? This isn't hard. That was hard last year. Or that, whatever. And then it was like, oh, I just hit my capacity. So looking back at moments and even in the moment, experience a moment like that, one of my teachers was like, okay, but there's a thing you can do where you can look at yourself kind of as an external, like outside viewer and say, of course you felt that was hard. Of course you felt that way. It was hard. Like, it doesn't have to have like anything. It just, of course you did that. Of course you felt that way. Just, of course. It's just, that's the whole practice. Of course. Give yourself some grace. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think throughout the season, that's been something that's been common with us in military spouses is giving ourselves grace. And sometimes I feel like we forget to, even those of us that are on that platform where we're helping other military spouses. We're like, forget to take that pause and say, we're human too. We're going through challenges that most of the world does not go through
100%.
unless they're part of the military.
100%.
And I think we forget that. It's like, oh, we're used to PCSing. We just don't enjoy it. And other people are like, you have to move every 3 years.
Well, we do this thing where we normalize our hardships. Like it's just it's normal. Or we don't want to do like the pity committee or pity Olympics. Is that what they call it? Like where you're like comparing. It doesn't matter if it's hard, it's hard. Like, and that can just be hard.
Yes. So my final question for you, Kellie, what words of encouragement would you offer to military spouses that feel lost, that feel unseen, or feel disconnected?
Oh gosh. Find some space for yourself. Like, even if it's just a quiet walk once a day where you can just kind of be and appreciate yourself and appreciate the fact that you are hopefully able to walk. And if you're not, whatever is available to you to be able to appreciate that, appreciate the fact that you are here and you have done whatever hard thing along the way to get you here. And find a way to feel that in yourself, right? To convince yourself that that matters. Sometimes that's hard, but if you can find a way to appreciate yourself, appreciate your body, appreciate your heart, your mind, all of the things, find a way to bask in that. And it sounds hard, but get somewhere quiet. Let the appreciation as if someone else is saying it to you, like as if a stranger or a friend or someone is saying, oh my gosh, I really appreciate the way you handled whatever, or you were just so amazing today. Soak in it, like soak it in, breathe it in, try to feel the warmth in your body. Like literally there's a somatic element to all of this. The more you can recognize when someone gives you a compliment or says something nice to you, if you can pause and like hang on to that and find it in your body, like is your chest getting warm? Is your throat tightening? Is there some sort of sensation that you can identify? Because you can come back to that again and again. You know what I mean? You can kind of get familiar with that sensation instead of continuously like habituating the negative sides of like the anxiety or the stress or the racing heart, the nervousness, the whatever it is. So we've got to really consciously put effort into identifying the positive emotions and the positive sensations, because the automatic and the easy is the hard. So I know that's a bunch of kind of woo.
No, thank you so much. No, it's hard in the beginning.
It's so important.
Yes, it is. It's very important. And it's hard. And I think, like you said, it's that natural putting ourselves on the back burner or thinking of the negative instantly that we don't think to switch it to the positive but what can
So, here's a great practice, because we're so much better at other people than we are with ourselves. Pay someone a compliment. I love the way you showed up today. You just have the most infectious energy. I so appreciate that. Thank you for what you're doing for the community. It's so important.
Thank you. Yeah.
Stay there. No, basket. Yeah. Don't deflect. Don't come up with a reason why. It's fine. I just got this on sale. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then literally, guys, thank you. sit with it for just a second. It takes like literally neurologically, it takes like 7, maybe it's 21. I forget. There's so many seconds that it takes to like create that pathway in your brain. But it's important. So try that. And so when you go and compliment your friend and she tries to run through and deflect, or she's uncomfortable, no. Breathe that in. Take a breath there. Just take a breath and like appreciate my compliment. You need it.
I love that. Yeah. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna walk around. I'm gonna do it. And then, but of course, I love
like, what's wrong with you?
Take it in. Don't you dare say anything back.
Stay there.
Stay away. That way they can't.
Yeah. You do drive-by compliments.
Compliment. Okay, girl, I love you and your outfit, and then just walk away
and just go. Don't reciprocate. Yeah. So, but it'll teach you. It'll remind. It's just fun. Just watch, you guys. Just watch. When you do it, people get uncomfortable and they want to. So, and you do that too. So stop. Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much. I really appreciate your encouraging words, all that you do for our community, and for joining me today on the podcast. I will be linking all of the works that you do, aside from Mission Identity that we didn't get to talk about today, in the description as well. And you all can follow Kellie on her journey. I will share her Instagram, her Facebook, as well as her website.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again for tuning in this week. I look forward to bringing you resources, support, and laughter. Sending my love from the desk of a Navy wife.